should have done this earlier, but I'm just gonna walk around and I'm gonna come back down. We can go. You, as you may or may not be knowing, looking at the Supreme Court, of course, Capitol.
Sorry, I didn't know what you're doing.
Is under construction, so it doesn't look that great. And oh, look, there's people.
People.
And that right over there, a million miles away, it seems. Maybe you can see a little better now. Is the Library of Congress, and it is a spectacular place. A spectacular place. Okay, guys, here is the Ulysses S. Grant Pool of Reflection, I think is what it's called. The memorial is apparently under construction, so we haven't been able to see that. We're not going to be able to see it. Over in the distance, you have the Capitol, and you have a lot of ducks over here. Straight ahead, that little thing you can just see over the tree line is the American Indian Museum. Right here next to me is going to be the Botanical Gardens, where we went yesterday. Really, really cool place. We won't have time for the Indian Museum, but it's really cool anyway. Okay, so we are in the Air and Space Museum at the moment, and we just ate, so we haven't had time to walk through it all. Hey, look, there's Mark and Chaz. Hey, look. We haven't had time to walk through everything yet, but this place looks amazing. And I was told before we got here that it would be one of the coolest places to visit. And even though we haven't gotten to go through it yet, it looks like that's going to be 100% true. So I'm going to get walking through it, probably take a little bit more video later on. Let's see what we got. I mean, look at this stuff. Look at this. This place is ridiculous. Holy crap. Okay guys, still here at the Space Museum. And I just want to give you an idea of how enormous some of these things are. Look at this. Look at this. I'm standing directly below this. It's ridiculously huge. And then you see the rockets. Well, at least I think they're rockets. I don't know. Guys, just look at all of this. So nice.
But I think I forgot it.
This is as far as it goes. I mean, it's just where did I just see that? Well, I see Marathon. Lady Bird Johnson. Marathon.
Okay guys, here at the Lincoln Memorial, and the sky is literally just larger than life. I mean, you can't even imagine, unless you've seen it, how big it is. This is just incredible. And also, the World War II Memorial is absolutely breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. Okay guys, on one side of the memorial, you have Lincoln's second inaugural address, and right here is the Gettysburg Address on the other side. So cool, so creative, and this place is amazing. We're on our way to the next one. Guys, I just wanted to show you all the view from the Lincoln Memorial. Such a nice view. All the way down the mall. There's the reflecting pool, I think is what it's called. Just,
Oh
just
my gosh,
great.
you were in so much trouble. Come here.
Okay, now we're looking at the Korean War Memorial. And it is really cool. And look at these guys. Okay guys, now we're at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. As you can see, it's getting pretty dark out here. But look at this thing. Look at this. It's almost 9 o'clock and look at all these people. It's ridiculous. we're about to head down there. Honestly, I don't know how I'm gonna feel when I start seeing the actual names, but about to go down there, see what's going on. Okay, guys, today is it's the end of Tuesday night now, just after midnight, and I made a mistake. I told you yesterday that I was going to be going to the zoo today, or wait, I didn't tell you all that. What I did tell you. I'm not sure what I told you yesterday, to be honest. Today was such a long day. It was right around 14 hours. We got up. I was up about 6:15. And we were basically out the door right around 7:15, and we were doing things for every minute of those 14 hours. I mean, literally, because we're so pressed for time. So let me just tell you what we did today. First, we did the Library of Congress, and the woman at the information desk told us that she said something about it being the most incredible place that we'd visit in DC. And I mean, everybody knows that libraries, it's pristine, it's immaculate, it's this really, really extraordinary place. But you cannot get that from pictures, you cannot get that from the internet, you cannot get that from reading about it. You can only get that by experiencing it. And I'm glad that we decided to allocate a little bit more time to go in there, because that place is absolutely breathtaking. I mean, absolutely breathtaking. It's like and the thing is that you don't have to love books, you don't have to love reading, you don't have to love any of that stuff. It is just an incredible place to go. The artwork, the architecture, the exhibitions, just absolutely top notch. And if I'm being completely honest with you, when we left there, I got a little emotional, and it was because I got to visit this place, this landmark that not everyone gets to visit, and it was extraordinary and just an overall great experience. The reading room it's out of this world. It really is. And after that, we decided to... Are y'all laughing at me?
No, he's making me laugh about it.
After that, we decided not to take a tour of the U.S. Capitol or the Supreme Court. Mostly because they weren't super high on our list of importance. And so after that, we went straight to our first Smithsonian Museum. And it was the Air and Space Museum. That place, I mean, if you gave me from 10 to 5:30 the hours of the museum, I think I could definitely find things to take pictures of, find things to read, find things to be interested in, because that museum is absolutely top notch. I mean, it really is. And I was told before I got here, that the Air and Space Museum is something else. But it's got to be top 5 museums that I've ever been to. And I have a few more tomorrow, probably a couple more on Thursday. But the Air and Space Museum was really great. And you know what? There was a short 6-minute video of the Discovery launch or something like that. Honestly, I can't remember because I absorbed so much information today. I can't remember exactly what it was. But it was a launch. And you know what? Watching that, it was another one of those moments that you just realize how much work goes into something like that, and how, how prideful we should be, assuming that you're American also, how prideful we should be to see things like that and to see advances and to see technology do the things that it does and be innovative and to drive things forward. And it was really, really cool. And they had a World War II in flight exhibition, something like that. And they had all the uniforms of airmen and women of these different countries, and it was really cool to see. And honestly, the Russians, they looked like bears. Like, I don't know what the hell they were doing back then. But no, the Air and Space Museum was really, really cool. The museum store had 3 stories. I mean, what in the world? So you can just imagine. They had flight simulators. I didn't get to do that because there was always a line and I was already rushing through. The next thing we did was the Museum of American History. And I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty well versed in my American history. I didn't really learn anything new in there, but being an American and being someone who, I know what's going on and I'm aware of things that are going on, and going in there, it's nice to have a little history thrown your way. Because, at the end of the day, not everyone who goes in there is going to know any of that stuff. I'm sure there are plenty of people who are reading about the Civil War and they haven't read about the Civil War since high school. I'm sure there are plenty of people who can't remember what exactly Paul Revere did, And that, I'm sure it's an even greater experience for them. But the exhibitions that they had were really, really nice. And I just, the one that really, really got me, and I imagine that, I know for a fact that it was at least this way for one of the guys I'm with, but it was a flag, and it was the original flag that inspired the Star Spangled Banner. And couldn't take pictures of it, so I won't have any pictures of it. But this flag is over 200 years old, or right around 200 years old. And the museum is keeping it in great shape for millions of Americans to enjoy in the future. But it's not really about the flag. It's about it's just about being an American and just being prideful, It was extraordinary to read the story of how our national anthem came to be what it is today. People laugh and make jokes when when you see celebrities or athletes, get emotional when the Star Spangled Banner is playing. And you know what? I understand that a little bit now. Just a little bit. I don't do anything representing my country. Anyway, the last thing we did was this was supposed to be yesterday, but we finally got to go to the National Mall and go through most of the monuments. We didn't go through them all. We have a couple left, and there's probably a couple that we're going to still go back and see. But let me just tell you, if you are ever planning a DC trip, you must see the monuments. The Library of Congress is extraordinary. It is. And the museums that I've told you about already are as good as it gets anywhere in the world. But the monuments and the memorials they really give you insight and perspective into greatness in our history and catastrophe. You know, I came here knowing full well that I would see the World War II memorial, but I knew absolutely nothing about it. Nothing about it. And then I get there and I see, you know, there's multiple water fountains, and I mean, it is just a sight to behold. And everybody knows the Washington Monument. Everybody knows the Lincoln Memorial. Everybody knows, you know, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. But the World War II Memorial is it's something else. And it's something that you need to see, because World War II was not that long ago. The anniversary of D-Day is coming up in a couple of weeks. Next week, actually, I think. Or no, a couple of weeks. And I've said this, and I'm going to keep saying it, that I believe that D-Day should be a national holiday, because those men are, you can't describe them. And sure, you can say, oh, well, we were invaded, we were attacked. But they were doing that for men and women of other countries. And it's we always have to appreciate them. I also got to see the Lincoln Memorial, which was really cool. On one side of the memorial, you have the Gettysburg Address. On the other, you have his second inaugural address, which of course he was killed shortly thereafter, which makes that probably one of his last speeches. And then, I mean, to me, Abraham Lincoln, he was larger than life in person, in history, because of what he did and what he helped this country get through. But man, when you see him, when you walk into that, I don't know what you call that. It's a chamber or whatever it is, where he's sitting there and he's looking down, he's looking across the mall. It is incredible. And it didn't matter today. It was super crowded, like 8:30 at night to when we got there. That was it just shows you the amount of respect and the amount of integrity, or that's not the right word, just how much I really think Abraham Lincoln is respected and commended and revered by this country. When you look at that memorial, that's what we're talking. We also got to see the Korea War Memorial, which it was another one that I didn't know anything about. And if I could describe it in one word, it would be authentic. Now, I've already told you that I know absolutely nothing about defending this country, defending anyone. But when the Korean War Memorial, if you're not aware, is basically a small hill, and you have soldiers walking up the hill in a small water fountain at the peak or at the top. And these soldiers are, you can just see so much agony and anguish, and it was so authentic. You know, I told my brother when we were there, they looked like men at war. And I don't know if that's what the architect was going for or the designer, but that's what I got from it. And I love the quote that's on the memorial. Freedom is not free. Because it isn't. And then we got to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. This one, I'm hoping that we're going to go back again tomorrow to see it in the day, because it was very late at night when I got there. Still jam-packed. But I can imagine on a weekly or even daily basis of veterans visiting that memorial who fought alongside some of those men. And the simplicity of it is really what gives you the perspective that you need. Because I don't know the exact number of Americans who died in Vietnam. If I had to guess, I believe between 60 and 70,000, but I could be completely wrong, or I could be close. I don't know. But it was tens of thousands, I know that. And it was a lot. And that war was over a decade long, in which we participated. But I'll be honest with you, I sat down and I read a line of names. And I could have been there for hours. Today was one of the best days of my life, and I will tell you what we're doing tomorrow morning.